All right, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at an acoustic ragtime blues, and these are always popular. I've been doing these for years. It's been a while since I've done one, and the reason they're so popular is because you can play them by yourself. You don't need to get out a jam track. They work on an acoustic or electric guitar, and it's just a really fun way to practice something, but also have something to perform for other people. So you kind of kill two birds with one stone in that respect. And so we're going to break this video or this lesson down over the course of 2 videos. In this video we're going to cover the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half, learn the entire song, and download the tablature and also access the on-screen tab viewer for this lesson, you can get all of those things by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page and do a search for EP478. Okay, so this song, Ragtime Blues in the key of G, and it's in 3/4 times. So you count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3. So you count up to 3, and then you reset it. That's what 3/4 time is. It's a waltz. And so we're playing in the key of G, but there's a lot of chords that are outside of the chord family structure for the key of G. So we go from the one chord, which is our G, right to a B7, and that's already like, huh, what? The B should be minor, right? If we're talking about the typical format for the chord family. So anyway, we're going to kind of talk through that. But before I get into that, I want to play through this first part, and I want you to just pay attention to what the bass line is doing. The bass line is driving this whole thing. Just listen to the bass notes. So I'm trying to really accent those bass notes, but you can see what I'm talking about there. The bass notes are really kind of dictating what the chord should be. And that's the first little point I want to make. If you're wanting to write a composition like this, and you're trying to figure out kind of what to do next, what chord comes next, to me, it's easy to have either a bass line that's sort of driving it like that. The bass line, to me, is telling me what the next chord should be. If I started with that bass note, and I walked up to that, I kind of know, or I can kind of hear the next note should be this. Now there is no right answer. This isn't math, so you have to. We're all going to hear something different. But to my ear, I can kind of hear what the next thing would be. So you can keep that in mind. The other thing that you might do is write a simple melody and let the notes from the melody sort of dictate what the chord should be. But it needs some kind of spine behind it. Okay. So we're in the key of G, and it starts off with this little pickup note, and if you're counting this in, you'd start it on the 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1. It comes in right on the 3. Now all of these first notes are played on the 6th string, so we start open, then we go 1, 2, 3. We walk up to that G note. So, now your typical waltz format, when you're strumming on the guitar, it goes like this: 1, 2, 3. So it's bass, strum, strum, bass, strum, strum, just downstrokes. Now I threw in a little extra note. I went like this. So I'm hitting the bass note, then the 4th string, then the strums. And I did that for all the chords. So it's like, watch this: 4th string, 4th string, 4th string, 4th. So each time I just found myself hitting that 4th string. I didn't even realize I was doing that until after the fact, until I had to go back and tab this thing out. And I could see, oh yeah, there's that extra little note I threw in there. It just sort of happened, I guess, rhythmically. It was kind of, it's like tapping your hands on a table or something. That's what I found myself kind of doing that. Anyway, so we've got the walk up. You've got that 4th string. And then you've got 2 strums, and then we're going to walk up to the B7 chord. So that's on the 5th string, it's open, 1, 2. Play that with your middle finger. There's your 4th string. And then strum, strum. Now the B7 is going to be confusing to some of you because you're thinking, that should be a minor chord. Now, if we're talking about the chords in the family for the key of G, which we are, that's the key we're in. Your G would be your 1 chord. Your 2 chord would be an A minor. Your 2 chord is always minor. Your 3 chord is always minor, which would be a B minor, right? But hang on, I'm playing a B7. That's not minor, that's major. So what's the deal? Well, the truth is you can take any of those minor chords from your chord family and you can make them major. There's no reason you can't do that. Now, technically, for that one little brief moment in time, you're switching keys, but you can do that. You can take any of those minor chords and make them major. The only thing is they're going to need, all of a sudden you've made a new tension and it's going to need to release somewhere. So you just kind of have to keep that in mind. But I wasn't thinking about any of that. That's getting too into theory. I was just listening to the notes of that bass line. That's like a Love Me Tender from Elvis or something. Like, you know, these are all things I've heard before. So they kind of find their way into these little compositions. And that's how it works for pretty much any songwriter. Okay. Is there B? Then we go to the C, which is your 4 chord. I walked it up to the 3rd fret 5th string, played the C. There's your 4th string. And the way that I strum that goes 5, 4, strum, and then a quick upstroke. So that I can go into that A7, which I'll talk about in a minute. So from that C chord, it's bass, 4th string, strum, upstroke. But it happens like this. So we go, and then we go. And that's just a walk down. That's all happening on the 5th string. It's 3, 2, 1, open. 4th string, strum, strum. And I'm playing the A7 chord there. So I've just got my 2 fingers down on the 2nd fret, strings 2 and 4. Okay, so from the beginning, we have 1, 2, 3. Now, why that A7? Remember what I said, if we're talking about the chords from the key of G, your 2 chord would be an A minor, but we just went ahead and made it major. So if we were looking at these numbers on a chord chart, you'd have a 1 chord, you'd have a major 3 chord, you'd have your 4 chord, and then you'd have a major 2 chord. Now the song goes back to the G, and then it walks down like this to your 6 chord, 6 major. So it walks to an E7. And the way that I did that walk down goes. So that's, again, taking advantage of that 4th string. I keep going back to that 4th string. So it's just your walk down 3, 2, 1, open on the 6th string. So it's downstroke on the 6th string and then an upstroke on that open 4th string. So it's. And then I go ahead and put my fingers in position to play that E7 chord. There's your 6, 4th string, and then strum. Now after the E7 chord, I go to the A minor, and then a D chord. So it's same strum pattern. This time we're starting our bass note on the 5th string, but it's 5th. There's your 4th string, and then strum, strum. And then I hit that note, which is the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and then release that, which is your open D note. Put your fingers in position, play your D chord. And the way that I played that was like this. A little hammer on there with my middle finger on that A minor chord. Into your D chord. The only other thing I want to mention was when we go to that E7 chord. Now, E minor would be the relative minor when we're in the key of G. But again, I made it major. So we basically took every minor chord from the chord family of the key of G and we made them major. Just wanted to point that out. That's kind of unusual to do that, but you can do it and it does work. And it works really well in these ragtime songs. If you ever want to get an inspiration for ragtime chord structure, listen to Bessie Smith. I think her stuff, the piano player that worked with Bessie, they would just work out these kinds of arrangements. It's where that stuff comes from, was from that era. Let's back up and play up to that point from the beginning. right, so the second time through, we played the same chord structure, but we played them an octave higher. So I came up here and went. So let's look at that. So we're going to start on the 5th fret, 4th string. I use my pinky for that. And then on the 3rd string, I'm going to play 2, 3, 4. So it's... And actually, I came up with my middle finger. I hit that with my middle finger because I'm picturing your G triad there. And when I play that, I've got my middle finger on that 4th fret, 3rd string. So I played it like this. So I went ahead and made that triad there, the top part of your G bar chord. So it's 3, 2, 1, 3, 1. And then the song goes to the B7, and all I have to play for that is I keep my middle finger where it's at, 4th fret, 3rd string. My ring finger goes down on the 4th fret, 2nd string, and my pinky comes up here to the 5th fret, 1st string. And I play 3, 2, 1. Same notes, so it's... Now, if you're wondering what that is, just think about the chord shapes. Think about the cage system. We're playing a B7, right? So you can play a B7 like this using that A7 shape. Just slide it up 2 frets. And that's what I'm doing. I'm picturing my nearest neighbor. I was just asking myself, as I'm playing the G chord, where's your nearest B? Oh yeah, you got one right here. And it also allows me to weave in the melody line. But the key to the whole thing is that one note there, that melody line. Listen to this. That note for your G chord, that note for your B7. We go to the C chord. I slid it up one. I can keep going up for the A. So you can see that you have to have some kind of an anchor that kind of is the glue that holds all of this stuff together, whether it be your bass line or a melody line like that. So we have, and then I slid up to the C. Just took my 2 fingers, slid them up to the 5th fret, strings 2 and 3, and then index finger goes down on the 3rd fret, 1st string. And you can see that's the top part of your C chord from the A chord shape from cage system. Top part of it. And then the song goes to the A, right? And to get to the A, I played this one. Same structure that I used when I played the G chord, or the same little triad. I'm just going to play it up here. So I went... Walked up to the 7th, and this is just creating a melody line. 7th fret, 1st string, and we go 7, 6, 5. Go ahead and bar the first 2 strings there. Play the 2nd string, and then come down to the 6th fret, 3rd string with your middle finger. So. And then the song goes back to the G. So I went back to my G triad here, played the 5th fret, 2nd string, and then watch this. Let me do that again. That's playing an E9 chord, and an E7 chord. That's all that is. I'm picturing those 2 chords, E9 chord, E7. This note is sort of the glue between those 2 chords. So I played the 6th fret, 4th string, and then I'm going to bar the first 3 strings on the 7th fret, but I'm only going to play strings 2 and 3, so those 2 notes like that. And then walk it down, 6, 5, and then watch this. So once I get to that 5th fret 5th fret 2nd string, 6th fret 4th string, and then my pinky went down on the 7th fret 3rd string. And what is that? That's just my E7 chord using the C7 shape. I'm just playing strings 2, 4, and 3 out of it. So from that G we have. It's a really cool little walk down from your E9 to your E7. And then the song goes A, D, G. And the way that I played the A, I went to the A7 here, and then the D9 here, and then back to my G triad. So look at this A7. This is a cool one. Strings 1, 2, and 3. So you can see these two are in your A triad, right? Strings 2 and 3. So you should understand those, where those are coming from. Just play them with your middle finger and your ring finger, and then put your index finger up here on the 3rd fret 1st string. That creates an A7 chord. Think of your A7, that flat 7 note. Anyway, that's just another triad that maybe you're not familiar with. That's kind of one that I don't use that often, but it's a really cool sound. So there's the A7, and then my D9, and again I'm weaving that melody throughout all of these chords. So here's your D6 to your D9. I'm always talking about that, right? The 6 to the 9 chord. So there's an A7, D9, and then down to my G. And then this little final kind of a bluegrass walk down. It's like a Norman Blake line. So I'm keeping the triad there, and I come up here to the 5th fret 2nd string, walk down the triad, and then the 5th fret 4th string. And we're going to end this part 1 video there. Let me back up and play through all of this. Hopefully you've got some ideas though. You walked away with a few ideas for either how to write a song and structure one. Just remember, even though the song should go to a minor chord, you can make it major. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not cheating if you do that. You just have to know kind of what comes next, and the way that you find out what's coming next is listen to the bass line, listen to the melody line. It'll tell you what should come next to your ear. I'm going to back up and play through this one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2 where we'll go over the second half. There's another part of this which is a lot of fun. And remember, as a premium member, you'd also have the tablature for everything that you can print out, you can keep it, you can do whatever you want with it. Anyway, we'll see you in part 2.